forgotten beast Ifebo Senenezekalo has come. A towering leech composed of clay. It has a square shell and is slavering. Beware, it's fire. Hello, you bearded bastards, and welcome back once again to Locum Cor Zugab Lolokukun Obak, Spearcavern, the grand granite shrine of pillars. Right now we're keeping eyes on this forgotten beast down underground in our caves. It appears to be hunting down a Gorlak at the moment, and well, as much as I'd like to let that thing into our fortress, it might be a bit dangerous and kind of pointless now that it's burned to a crisp. Hate to be callous like that, but not much you could do at this point. Rest in peace, Gorlak. Anywho, yes, a fiery leech. You may remember that we just dealt with that fiery snail up top in our water tunnel. It was rather a devious exercise in dwarven ingenuity, if I say so myself, and the dwarves are quite proud of their accomplishment, obviously. But this idea is not going to be working for that leech. It has no way to get up into our waterways. And so, let us direct our gaze down here to our old barracks. That you can see is now all cluttered up with a couple of smelters and a butcher's workshop. We were doing some work in here, disassembling those forgotten beasts, you know. But yes, above this area right here, we have this room here. It's a square chamber, and the floor is a bridge that can be retracted. And on top of that bridge is a bunch of water. There is a bunch of water here. This chamber is completely filled with water. Now, our idea is to lure that forgotten beast into this chamber, fight it, and then maybe during the combat, use one of these levers over here to drop that water down, thereby extinguishing the fires and saving our dwarves from being burned to a crisp like that Gorlak out there. I think that's going to work out pretty darn well, especially if we wet down the area beforehand. Hard to say, of course, I don't really know for sure, but I'd say it's looking pretty hopeful. Usually it doesn't take us too long to kill creatures. That one out there is not an organic beast. It's made of clay, remember. I guess you could say it's a bit of an elemental. That being said, it's kind of hard to tell how long it'll take to kill it. But if it's just clay, I can't imagine it'll be that difficult. At least it's not made of metal or stone or something, you know? Having a look back up to the fortress here and, well, got a bit of bad news. It looks like Boggy has discovered a dead dog here. This is Skydog, one of our very first dogs. That's a damn shame. She never ended up having any puppies either. Just really wasn't her thing. Did have a bunch of hopes wrapped up in this pup, but, you know, that's just okay. I hope she lived a very good life. I'm sure she did, actually. She was part of the fortress, just like one of the dwarves. She died of old age, which is quite a feat in a dwarven fortress, what with all the danger around, you know? Truly, she was blessed by Idrath. We're gonna have to do something special for her, I think. There you go, dwarves. Pay your respects, and get that sheep off of her. Thank you. Now then, having a look back out to the tunnels and... Well, didn't really see what happened, but it looks like that forgotten beast has died. Ifebo Senenezekalo. It's dead here. It must not have been too strong either, because from the looks of it, it was killed by an elk bird, a fairly unremarkable underground creature. Yeah, it looks like it bit the elk bird a couple of times, and then actually shook around the elk bird, causing its upper spine to collapse. A mortal wound for sure. Opened an artery in the elk bird's neck, tore a tendon in the elk bird's spine, and then bit the elk bird in the leg, which caused it to explode into gore. And then the giant leech, remember, sucked blood out of the wound. The elk bird then bit the forgotten beast in the body, breaking away a piece of tissue, which I guess was the one wound that the forgotten beast took and caused it to die. Well, that is incredibly unremarkable. I don't... You know what? Probably wasn't worth our time. What a frail and terrible beast. Didn't really stand a chance at all. Something a bit more shocking, though, is I don't know where the hell that elk bird went to. It died. It definitely did die. But it didn't die in that area, which I find amazing, because the thing must have been paralyzed and at death's door by the time it killed that forgotten beast. Weird, it must have crawled away somehow. Well, yeah, again, that forgotten beast there probably wasn't worth our time. And I don't expect this one will be worth our time either. Of course, it is hard to say. The forgotten beast Gador has come, a gigantic feathered snail. It has wings and it appears to be emaciated. Its sky blue feathers are long and narrow. Beware, it's poisonous. Bite. Yes, it looks like another forgotten beast has come, and it moved over here to the east, where it seems to have detected a small herd of elk birds that are kind of just behind this wall that we've constructed. Doesn't seem to be able to get to them, though, which is good. Oh, there it goes. Okay. just wading in, and, you know, I'm realizing how weak that other leech must have been. Gador here just killed several of those elk birds. It doesn't seem to be any worse for wear, not yet anyways. Yeah, this here will be an appropriate challenge for our dwarves. Less fire to worry about too. Honestly, we were a bit concerned about that idea. It could have went very badly. You saw how fast that Gorlak was killed. That in mind, I'm sure we're gonna fight another fiery beast at some point in the future, so no worries if you were looking forward to it. Well, dwarves, what do you say? Ready to take on a beast? I'm sure you are. They haven't been training in quite a bit. Gonna have to knock off some of that rust first, but then we'll take on that beast no problem. Poisonous bite, what is that even? Hardly a thing. My goodness, looking around the barracks you can see all these cobwebs. That's pretty shameful. Goes to show you how unused this room has been lately. Some good training is gonna go a long way, I think. And you know what, I think after we take care of that beast, maybe we'll seal up some parts of that underground. Not that we don't want to fight beasts. It would just be nice to be able to control the flow of beasts a little bit, you know? I feel like we've had so many lately. Can't do anything in the caves anymore. And how about going farther down, too? That's something we discussed doing a while back. We should really get around to doing that, huh? We need more diamonds and riches. But one thing at a time. Gador, the snail. Okay, the dwarves are reacquainted with their weapons and armor, and they're assembling behind these doors. We're just gonna open up the doors and head out there to fight it. This thing's got no fire, it's got no dust or gas or anything. We're sure this fight's gonna go swimmingly. Good luck, all. Adrath is watching over you. There we go. Good job, Wisp, once again. Wisp is quickly becoming our most prolific monster hunter. I say becoming, she has become our most prolific monster hunter. By a stretch. That was number 3 for her. Looks like she started off the fight by going after the thing's wings, specifically, probably trying to ground it, right? She attacked both wings and stabbed it in the body, tearing the heart. It did not stop fighting right away though. After that she went and attacked the wings once again, kicking and punching. And then it looks like she started stabbing the body, tearing the guts multiple times. And then it looks like she finished it off by stabbing it and tore the brain. The killing blow. Well, that really is something. Good job, Wisp, once again. 3 beasts. I'm trying to think how many other kills we have out there. Not a whole heck of a lot. Boggy killed 1. Pop killed 1, that watery one. Gutter killed the snail. And Tinny killed the clear devil. The only one who hasn't killed anything so far is the crab. And I mean anything, too. Group of dwarven hunters here for more than 10 years. Seems he might be a little bit of a pacifist. Actually, it does track pretty well, doesn't it? He went into one of those fights a while back and didn't do too much. Might have something to do with his lack of confidence. He's not a very confident dwarf, surprisingly. He puts on a proud face, but I guess he must have some imposter syndrome going on there. Well, no matter. I'm sure he'll get a kill before long. Certainly we're going to keep fighting beasts. Buck up there, Krabby. You are one heck of a dwarf. The Drunians can attest to that. Okay, dwarves, I think it's time to get back to work. As I said earlier, I think we should get down to the caves and start sectioning things off a bit. Make it a bit more manageable, you know? And then we can continue down farther. We're gonna make a few stoneworkers workshops out here and start turning some of this extra stone that's just laying around into blocks. And then we gotta build some walls, and that's gonna be a finicky process, but I think it'll go quickly as long as we have these blocks. Shouldn't take too long, and we're gonna get all dwarves on deck to do it too, just so it goes that much quicker. And while we have some dwarves making those blocks, I'm also gonna have Queen Bee go around and start cutting down some trees. There are an awful lot out here, and we have no need for wood at the moment, but we need to make some space for walls. And as I'm going around our perimeter here, I'm noticing what a big process this is going to be. This wall, that is. I'm starting to think twice about it, actually. I don't know, maybe we'll get some work done on it, but I don't think we have the patience to do the full thing at this point. It's high time we start digging. On top of that, we have like several other projects the dwarves have been trying to get to for a while now. Starting to pile up in the background, and we're banging them out where we can. But it's just taking an awful lot. We built all these farmers' workshops up here so we can get all our sheep shorn and then have their wool turned into thread. It's kind of a big process. On top of that, we've been trying to get the workshops out of here, period, just so we can move them down underground. Ideally, we're going to have all the workshops in the future be in the dwarves' quarters, as well as little stockpiles for the goods that come out of them. We already have a ton of workshops over here. This is directly below our meeting hall. We have plenty of food and drink storage, as well as a place for leather, cloth, thread, clothing, all that sort of stuff. Also, kind of want to start pulling all this furniture out of here and replacing it with diorite. We do have a little personal spot. Keep going. Keep that nose in the ground. Eventually, one day it'll all be sorted. There's just so many little things to do. Oh my goodness. Would you look at that? Looks like our fortress has a new member. Tinny and Boggy have a child. A girl. And she's been given the name Lymel Wield Emerald. Or Emmy, for short. Nicknames come quick around here, it seems. Well, ain't she just as cute as could be? To be expected, really. She has her mother's complexion. And hair, too. But she got her copper eyes from her father, Boggy. Love to see it. We had no clue she was pregnant. There's no indication at all. They've been keeping it secret, it seems. Really, we were getting to the point where we didn't think any babies would be born in the fortress. But here we are. Little Emmy, you are lucky to be born here in Spearcavern. I'm going to tell you that much right now. Imagine being raised in a small fortress of dwarven monster hunters. Child, the things you'll see are going to be amazing. Hey, and who knows, maybe you'll have some friends to play with before long. This might inspire some of our other couples to get busy as well. No pressure, of course, but it would be interesting to see. Ooh, or maybe some siblings, you never know. Oh, gotta love it. Kind of puts things in perspective, too. Dwarves, I think we may be working too hard. We have an awful lot to do. But there's always going to be a lot to do. We have to take some time for ourselves, from time to time at least. Especially now, for the sake of little Emmy. We're always going to be hard-working dwarves. But what's the sense of all this hard work if we can't enjoy the fruits of our labors from time to time? Well, you know, I suppose we'll finish up these walls real quick. We're sailing right along with the process, and even Tinny and Emmy are taking part in the work. But after that, we're going to take a little bit of a rest. A little bit. Just hoping no beasts pop up in the meantime. We don't really need the distraction right now. If it's not one thing, it's another. Let's see what the fuss is. Over here at the eastern wall, which we just completed, too. Looks like we have a forgotten beast trying to smash its way in. Omarafovi athara, a great quadruped composed of coke. It has a round shell and undulates rhythmically. Beware its deadly dust. This particular specimen appears to be incredibly tough, a tad worrisome. Even more worrisome is that deadly dust it's spewing out. This might be a bad beast. Now, this particular one is composed of coke, as I just said. This type of material is often used in the steel industry. You get it by heating up charcoal or coal very, very hot without fire. Kind of gets rid of all the impurities. So, you know, I'm wondering if this creature here is actually composed of charcoal or coal or something, and maybe spent some time in a very hot place, removed those impurities. Well, it's all needless speculation. We're gonna kill this beast. Not gonna be a problem, I don't think. Coke is a pretty flimsy material, highly porous. I think this thing's gonna fall right apart. In fact, I'm wondering if we should get our dwarves out here right behind this door and maybe fight it right here. Open up the door and just knock it into pieces. Might be better than having it spray its dust all over our barracks. Yeah, let's go for that. And don't you worry even a little bit about Tinny or Emmy. They're going to be kept away from harm, even though Tinny would like to fight this beast. It's for the best if we keep them back. Obviously. As for the rest of you dwarves, get suited up, grab your weapons, and get the hell out to that east gate. We're going to have a whole new set of problems if that door comes down. Okay, looks like the beast is dead, but that might very well only be the start of the battle. I'm gonna be keeping an eye on these three dwarves who took part in the fighting. It was Wisp, Gutter, and Queen Bee. They appear to be fine right now, but their armor is completely coated with that dust. On top of that, they all appear to be very drowsy, but that could just be because they were waiting in the caves for so long for that beast to come in. This really is by far the worst part of fighting those beasts, the unknown implications of their various residues. It looks like at the moment all 3 of them made it to the hospital, waiting for medical attention of some variety, I guess. Again, they don't appear to be wounded, but maybe they don't feel totally A-okay either. We'll give them a moment. Looks like Wisp is back on her feet. And there goes the other 2 as well. Huh. Okay. Okay. Maybe we're just good then. Yeah, not too sure. Though it does appear like one of the fighters, Wisp, has gone to bed, in her own bed. A lot of sleep since that battle. Maybe that dust had some sort of a sleeping agent in it or something. I just really hope they wake back up, is the thing. But I don't see any reason to be concerned quite yet. Anywho, regarding that battle, yes, there were 3 dwarves taking part. Queen Bee, Wisp, and Gutter. And this was a very complicated battle. There was a lot going on, too much to detail, actually. Suffice it to say, though, that they started off by hitting the thing's legs a whole bunch. Just chipping away little fragments, hitting and hitting and hitting. And then you saw that dust, it was all over the place. And I always forget what a mess it makes. That area where they were fighting it was actually kind of dangerous because that dust comes out with such force that it not only blows the dwarves around, but also blows around items that are on the ground, like logs. There were a bunch of logs there. The dwarves are incredibly lucky they didn't get smashed in the head by a log. That could have been very bad. Boulders, too. The beast was also getting thrown around by its own dust, and I believe that is what did the most damage to it. It fell over onto the ground, and then the dwarves just laid into it. And at that point, the beast didn't fight back even a single time. I don't know if it was just... I'm not too sure, stunned or something like that. I don't know how a big chunk of coke could be stunned, but it didn't fight back anymore. Just laid there on the ground while the dwarves pecked away at it. But who do you think got that killing blow? Once again. That's right, it was Wisp. Of course it was Wisp. My goodness, Wispy, you're a real destroyer. And it looks like she's gotten a title, too. First dwarf in the fortress to get a title. Bur Regtat Dub Menral, or Wisp Glove Touches, the Taciturn Silvers. Quite suitable. That marks beast number 4 for the old Taciturn Silvers here. I think maybe she didn't need that hand weighing her down after all. Certainly seems that way. Well, good job there, Wisp. You really are one hell of a dwarf. Okay, there she goes. She got up. I was waiting for her to wake up. I was a little concerned about that whole thing, and it seemed like she slept for quite some time right there. Willing to bet that dust had some sort of a sleeping agent in it. I don't know. We're gonna hit a bad one day. But it wasn't today, was it? Also, something else I feel we should address, you probably didn't notice it, but right at the end of that combat, Tinny and Emmy came running into battle. They missed the battle. They didn't take part, but they got pretty darn close. Listen, Tinny, that's actually pretty irresponsible. I have to imagine some of the other dwarves are questioning that particular action. You know, we're a bunch of brave monster hunters and stuff. Sure, but like when you get down to it, you can't go bringing a baby into battle against a dusty beast, especially. We're all protected with armor, but that baby doesn't really have much. As far as the other dwarves' opinions go, though, Tinny is pretty unconcerned with what they have to say. This is a more recent trait that's developed for Tinny here, from a couple years ago when she was wearing some badly tattered clothing. Really caused her to stop caring what others think of her. Also, she's always been a dwarf that values sacrifice, but you know, again, you gotta put it into perspective, Tinny. Of course, I suppose it doesn't matter what the other dwarves think so much. She's just gonna do what she wants to do. Well, I suppose as long as it works out alright, then that's all that matters, right? Just be careful, Tinny. Now then, where were we? Ah, yes. I believe we said we were going to try to finish up the wall and then take a nice rest. Well, it's going to take a very long time to finish this wall properly. But as you can see, we are cruising right along. We are focusing on this bit by the water currently. And as you can see, the bottom is done and we have a bunch of staircases built too, leading up in different areas. This helps us access different parts of the wall that have to be done. It's a weird process, but it does work. This particular wall goes up 3 levels, and up at the top, the ceiling is a bit uneven, so it's a bit finicky, to say the least. But it's getting there. See, this is exactly what I'm saying about the walls. There's been so many beast attacks lately. Too many, even. Which is saying something. As a group of monster hunting dwarves, you'd think it'd be totally up our alley, but gotta get some time to breathe in between, you know? Let's see what's going on. The forgotten beast Kona Thanaruda has come. A towering, 3-eyed, 6-legged stegosaurid. Strangely familiar in a way. It undulates rhythmically, Its eyes glow azure. Its chocolate scales are small and set far apart. Beware, it's deadly blood. Another beast with deadly blood. Well, as we've seen in the past, that can pan out pretty badly. If it's the wrong type of deadly blood, then it can easily kill a dwarf, or an entire flock of sheep for that matter. Yeah, I am curious if this thing has any relation to Rofa up on the surface. Kona, Rofa, they both resemble stegosaurids, both have 3 eyes. Intriguing. Looks like it's approaching our southern wall, trying to get that door down. Well, dwarves, what do you say? Ready to take down another beast? Let's get to it. We'll do what we did before. Get him up behind that gate, open up the gate, and then just take care of things then and there. It should go pretty well, as long as everyone is totally armored up. Can't risk getting that blood on us. Well, that was a quick battle, wasn't it? Not like that Coke beast, that's for damn sure. Well, let's have a look here, see how it went. Also take note of the fact that Wisp is not here. These guys wanted that gate open before the taciturn Silvers came in. Gotta let the other dwarves have a chance. Now then, Gutter, Queen Bee, and the Crab all started off by stabbing the thing in the legs. That did a good bit of damage straight off the bat. A couple more stabs took the thing down, it fell over on its side. They continued stabbing it in its legs for some reason. It is quite a leggy beast, so, I mean, stands to reason. What finished it off, though, was the Queen Bee stabbing in its upper body, tearing its heart. That really took the wind out of its sails, but then it was finished off by Boggy and his artifact whip there. Enosigner Batawideal. Lashed it in its head and completely destroyed its brain. A killing blow for sure. Goodness. Well, good job. Another beast down. Still no title for Boggy, unfortunately, but he's gonna get there, I'm sure. That was his second beast. It seems a shame to not put this thing to use, butchering it for its meat and stuff, but man, we have so much food these days. Way more than just for us, I was gonna say 7 dwarves, 8 dwarves. We have no want for food anymore. Well, we could still try to put its bones or its skin to use or something. Can't just leave it here, Now we just have to keep an eye on these dwarves, make sure they didn't get any of that blood on them, and if they did get any blood on them, we have to just hope it wasn't a very bad blood. Never can tell. Anywho, yes, back to work, I suppose. Still working on that wall, obviously, but while we were out here, I did notice another of those obsidian clusters over here. I thought we had dug them all out already, but looks like we missed one. It is pretty exciting cracking these open, huh? But what's even more exciting is not having our dwarves die in the process. That being the case, the dwarves have come up with a little plan. What we're gonna do is try to carve a little hole in there, not completely mine the thing out. It's kind of the same process we do with a fortification. It's like an arrow slit, Small enough where we can see inside, but not small enough where a demon could come out. Let's see what happens. Okay, we have a Wisp doing it. Carving and, oh, this one is solid. Okay, a little surprising. I'm not sure what the deal with that is. I don't think we saw any solid ones before when we were doing this. This might have been one of those other ones that we had carved apart already. Just like the bottom half of it or something. I don't know. What I do know, though, is that this gets me pretty excited to open up some more of these little clusters. And I think we could find some more if we start digging downwards. So, let's find a good spot to do that. Well, actually, here's something. I had a panic attack for a moment here because we have Tinny just mining away over here in the southern caves. But not Emmy. She's not here. Don't be concerned, though. She's fine. Emmy is right over here. Looking for some new clothing right now, actually. She grew up so fast. She's actually a year old already. Don't have any clothing her size, I guess. Well, we're in the process of making it right now, so she's just making do. But yeah, she's big enough where she doesn't have to be coddled by her mother anymore. 1 year old, she's off on her own, wandering through our dangerous, dangerous fortress. A little nerve-wracking, but I'm sure she's gonna be fine. We have 7 strong, fighting dwarves protecting her. Just keep out of trouble, you. Your parents and aunts and uncles are gonna be keeping a very close eye on you. Gonna make damn sure you don't get in any trouble, you little bastard. For your own good, really. Yeah, she's a good kid. Stay safe, Emmy. Be smart. Grow well. Oh my goodness, always something, always something. Sounds like we have another beast. Looking like we got those walls up just in time. Coming in from the north, we have a towering, hairy lizard. It has a spiral shell and it is ravening. Its eyes glow fuchsia, its red hair is long and wavy. Beware its noxious secretions. Its name is Figgle, and it looks to be a rather wiry beast. Noxious secretions. I don't think that's a terrible one. If I remember correctly, it's like blood, like deadly blood. It could have a number of effects, right? But like blood gets all over the place, and noxious secretions tend to stay on the beast's like surface, you know, like their skin, or in this case, I guess, red hair. So I don't think it'll be quite that bad. Plus, it is a fleshy beast, which means if you poke a couple holes in it, it's going to bleed out. Much like Kona, that stegosaurid we just fought. I don't think this is going to be a bad one. Gonna have to hope as much anyways, because it is moving straight in towards our northern gate, actually. Now imagine if we had a bunch of straight walls like this and a ballista over at the side. These beasts tend to stop at the doors like this. Imagine if we could just shoot the thing from the side a couple times. I don't think we'll do that, but it is an idea. Might be an extremely good idea if we had a very bad beast, huh? Take it out the safe way. Something to remember. Anywho, you know what? We got this dwarf over here, Gutter, all armored up, ready to go. He's feeling pretty unfocused by unmet needs. He wants to practice martial art, wants to fight, and also is tired of leading an unexciting life. Perhaps that accounts for why he's walking over to the gate by himself right now. Could he be attempting to? I'm not sure this is a good idea, my friend. And there he goes. My goodness, Gutter, that was brilliant. Seems we were concerned for no reason. Took Figgle right down. No problem. That fight went pretty much like the other ones that we've seen. Gutter started off by focusing on the thing's legs, and then as it fell over and onto its side, he kind of started focusing on other bits of it. Stabbed it real good in its stomach at one point, even smashed it in the mouth with the shaft of his spear, crushing it. There was a couple of stabs to its spine, which really took it out of commission. That said, the lizard really never stopped fighting back. It was fighting fiercely that entire time and was even enraged. Still, didn't seem to matter much. It was finally put down with a stab to its brain. I'm not sure it's the greatest idea to go out there by yourself, but, I mean, it did work out alright, seemingly, so at least there's that, right? And now you have 2 forgotten beasts to your name. Keep it up, my friend. Okay, now, once again, back to work, dwarves, for a short amount of time before we get attacked again, I'm certain. Well, as we've said several 100,000 times at this point, we would like to dig down farther. Gotta find those other caverns, you know. I suppose we'll plan out a place to go down, just right over here. This is outside the southern gate. Figured we keep the way down outside the walls, just for safety's sake. I'm sure beasts will be coming up from here at some point. Before long, too, I'd wager. My goodness. But while we get that done, I think we should have a look over here at little Emmy. Just a little check-in, you know? See how she's doing, and she seems to be doing rather well. She's currently hauling around some stone blocks, putting them in a stockpile over here. She has some chores. Seems a little strange to give such a very young child chores like that, but I suppose it'll turn her into a proper working dwarf at some point, eh? Probably good for her. I'll tell you what, so far this dwarf has proven to be an extremely happy little girl. And that's good to see. I wonder what she thinks of all those forgotten beast attacks. I'm sure she hears rumors. The other dwarves must tell her about it. Doesn't seem to be too put off by it, that's for sure. A perfectly blissful little dwarf. And we can see her sleeping right now, taking a little nap. Well, that's good. Gotta get your rest, little Emmy. That said, it would be nice if you had your own room, eh? And so we are working on that as we speak. Emmy's own place, down here, under her parents' quarters. Should get the job done. Pretty basic, but only compared to the other dwarves' rooms. It's still a very big place for a single, small dwarf like Emmy. I'm sure she'll be happy with it. Oh, and would you look at that? Shifting once again, we've just received some word from the tunnel that we were digging downwards. Seems another cavern has been discovered. Very cool. That is far down there too. Oh, we cannot wait to get out there and start exploring. And it's looking like a very different environment than that cave we've been dealing with. Well, we'll get down there soon, I'm sure. Excellent work, dwarves. We've reached another cavern lair. A new era of exploration has begun. Idrath be praised. Anyways, with that, we have reached the end of the episode, and the point in the episode when we're going to be talking about some behind-the-scenes things. Now then, A baby in Spearcavern? I did not think that was going to happen, actually. We've been here for more than 10 years, and the dwarves have had plenty of downtime to kind of just mingle around and, figure out their stuff. It's still a mystery to me how dwarves decide, when they're going to have a child or something like that. Is it just random chance? I don't really know how that all works. I remember seeing on the wiki quite some time ago that if there's a married couple of dwarves and they're given enough time to just kind of hang around together, then eventually they'll just start having children, child after child after child, until they die of old age. I know that's not true though. Again, it falls into my weird superstition against listening to anything from the community. I need to be able to see it or I ain't trusting you bastards. All I know is that this couple has had plenty of time to be together, and just now, after 10 years, they've had a child. Will they have more? Who's to say? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Same goes for the other dwarves too. Also, man, I gotta say, I'm very happy with the Steam release in that they allow children to have chores now. I forgot about that caveat. Used to be back in the day, sometimes you'd have a fortress that was absolutely filled with children, and they can't do anything at all except be a liability. A child gets wounded or something, and then, their parents are devastated, and then, they start throwing tantrums. That's pretty bad. You gotta protect them for 12 full years before they could start working. But now they could do chores absolutely fine, and I think the game now classes them as adults when they're 18, which I love. It was always very weird having them be like, oh, they're 12, and the game thinks they're adults now. Ah, strange. Okay, well, I don't know. Yeah, it's a good change. Pivoting slightly. A new cavern, that's exciting. I didn't realize there was an entirely different kind of floor covering that there could be, if that makes any sense. There's floor fungus up in that upper cave that we were dealing with. And I've seen a reddish sort of floor fungus something, but never this blue-green moss. Really makes the different cavern layers feel different. Kind of hard to get a sense of that back in the day, but yeah, it's very successful now. Love to see it. Got a whole new personality out in this cavern, and I am genuinely excited to explore it. Those forgotten beasts though, my goodness, we had 5 show up in this episode? That's a lot. Of course, we did span maybe 2 years in this episode alone, so 5 beasts in 2 years, is that a lot? It's a good amount. It's a pretty good amount. Glad we got those walls up though, they seem to be helping somewhat. At least if we get tired of fighting so many beasts, we can choose to close gates and just, block them up for a while, deal with them later. It's pretty helpful. Back to the subject of Emmy, something I just thought of. A smart thing to do would be to make a burrow for her so she can't go wandering out into the caverns and stuff. I'm sure a lot of people are nodding. Yep. It would be safe. Yep. And I have done that in the past too in other fortresses. But what kind of life is that for a child? We're gonna go spring the caves on her when she's older? It's good if she goes exploring a little bit, I say this coming from a role-playing sense. I know it's dangerous. But if we want to play nice and safe, then the dwarves would never go fight forgotten beasts. We would just lock them outside. We would never exit our fortresses. There's a bunch of different things I could do to make it 100% safe for us, but that's boring. You don't want to go watching that. And frankly, I don't want to go playing that, so that's not what we're doing. I figure if we're going to do something like that, then, it should be preceded with some horrible, dangerous catastrophe. Something to really spook the dwarves into being so cautious, But that has not happened yet, and I think it's going to turn out just fine. Always does. Always does. No worries at all. Now, pivoting slightly once more, it's taken me 5 weeks to put out this episode, and that's not because I was just working on this episode, just a little behind the scenes info. I started working on a different episode for a different game called Path of Aqua. It's on Steam, it's very fun. I just picked it up on a whim because I saw it pop up and I was like, hey, this looks pretty neat. Got inspired, figured I'd try it out. So I was working on this episode and it kind of ballooned into a monster. I spent 3 weeks working on this episode and it's pretty animation heavy, which, it takes a bit. But even at that point, I was still quite a bit away from being done with it all, so I figured I'd pivot back to making Dwarf Fortress content, maybe do this. I think I'm going to do one more Dwarf Fortress episode after this one here. And a Dwarf Fortress episode takes me 2 weeks to do. So yeah, it was 3 weeks of working on Path of Aqua video, and then 2 more weeks of working on Dwarf Fortress video, and now it's out right now. Just to give you a little bit of a window there, in case you were wondering. Keep getting comments, hey Krug, did you die? You're going to know if I die, okay? Don't worry about it. It's probably safe to assume that I'm always working on something. And if it's taking a while, it's probably a big project, or maybe I ran into a little speed bump or something, I appreciate your concern, but yes, you will know if I die. I thank you for your patience. It means a lot. Oh, and yes, I do plan on going back to that Path of Aqua video. I'm not going to just let it sit in limbo forever. So if I do disappear again, that's where I am. Sound good? Good. Anyways, my bearded bastards, I thank you so much for watching. It means the world. I hope you had an excellent holiday, and I certainly hope you enjoyed watching this episode. I hope to see you next time here in Locum Cor Zugable Lokukun Obak, Spearcavern. the Grand Granite Shrine of Pillars. And until then, you bearded bastards,